Let's call the combined November-December meeting of the Erie Environmental Advisory Council to order. Roll call. John Campbell.
Present.
Bob Howden.
Present.
Aaron Kerr. Pat Lupo
Is
excused.
walking in the door right now.
Okay. Pat's excused.
I'm here.
And Matt. And me. Okay, so the only one missing is Pat. Yeah, we do pretty good for showing up. Compared to a lot of groups, we are really good.
We get kicked out if we don't show up. It's pretty good incentive.
No, we get kicked out if we don't.
I didn't mean after one time. I just
Right.
meant there in our bylaws.
Right.
Yeah, that's according.
Okay, so can I have a motion? Are there any comments about the
We marked you
October
as present.
meetings? All right, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public comment. Are you a public, Sarah, or she's a staff? Okay. Old business. I don't remember if I had already met with the EMTA.
I do not think so.
Okay, so wait a minute. Yes. I'm getting confused because there was one when they canceled the meeting because they didn't have a quorum, but I think I did meet with them on Zoom. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I sort of met with the Historic Review Commission, if that's, what I did was I talked with Kimberly, is that her name? Heather. Why did I get Kimberly? Okay, Heather. I talked with Heather on the phone, and and after discussing with her, she felt that the best approach was to send her like an outline of who we are and what we're doing, and she would distribute it to the commission members, and if they had any questions afterwards, she would get back to me. And since I haven't heard from her, I'm assuming that everything is just fine.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. You may want to come still. They had to cancel their meeting in December.
Okay.
But if you'd like to still meet with the HRC.
Well, the problem
Or
is.
just present during, you could be on the agenda.
Yeah, well, the problem is that they meet on Mondays at
Yeah.
1, and I work on Mondays until 12:30 to 12:45. So for me to get from Mill Creek Township to downtown by 1 o'clock it would be a little bit dicey.
Sure, yeah.
So
that's why you did the format.
that's why I talked with her on the phone and explained to her what the situation was, and between the two of us, we felt that,
That was enough.
that was probably good enough.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I spoke with Tim Sennett, who's the solicitor for the Sewer Authority, and got on the agenda for next Tuesday at 11 a.m. at the Sewer Authority. I also called Basil, who's the...
Rosati, whatever.
Yes.
Ranzati.
Ranzati. Left a message, he's expecting me as well. So I'll have more to report in January.
Just one other thing, this didn't happen when I reported to the EMTA, but at the MPO meeting today, I commented about, I'm curious, when is the EMTA going to do their plan? And apparently, they're getting money from the PennDOT, and so they're working that out, but they don't really want, it's been years that they've been talking about doing this plan, but they said they don't want to start this time of year anyway because they have to do a survey, and it's a bad time of year to survey riders. But so someday they'll have a plan. Okay. So secondary priorities, I will say that between the election and everything else, Aaron and I have not done any more work on but we will in the new year, yes?
Yeah, and I think one of the steps is to talk to all the stakeholders, including the festival promoters and implementation people, all the festivals in the city of Erie who use the stage for the city.
that wouldn't have been my approach, but so maybe.
Well, that was my role, and then we're gonna meet again.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, then I have to figure out what mine is, but it really, I was between being a poll worker and just the whole thing of the election, I was, and helping people after the election, I was pretty absorbed.
We're taking baby steps that lead to a great mountain, so,
Yep.
no problem.
Okay, and, do we have anything going on with litter mitigation? You're the litter person.
The litter person?
Well, if you wanted to take the
I'm still,
lead.
we're still waiting to hear back on the community change grant.
Okay, great. New business, Ms. Spielman.
Oh, we ready for me already?
We are.
I was gonna give Mayor an agenda. These are extra. All right. All right, I know Jackie sent these all to you, but I
Yeah,
printed them out for you
okay.
so they'd be more readable.
I need my glasses.
The whole one. Electricity,
Well, and gas.
Do you have one for the mayor?
I gave them your own.
Thank you.
Sure.
This is kind of interesting.
I want to talk to you about this. So what this is as a sustainability coordinator, I was contacted by a company who was also working with the EMTA who does energy procurement. And our purchasing agent just took over 2 or 3 years ago. And so neither one of us knew that much about energy procurement. So a colleague introduced me to this group, and we met with them a couple of times, and the city councilwoman, Liz Allen. And they presented a really good plan. And what it is I guess the city of Erie, because we use so much electricity, we can actually negotiate our prices in bulk. Instead of like the residents just have to pay whatever price is given to them on their bill, but we negotiate a price and sign a contract for it. And so this company, basically, the first page sums the whole thing up. This company has such great experience and great contacts with the utility companies, and they have extremely good software, and they're good negotiators. Basically, compared to our 2022 savings, in the year of 2023, our total savings was over $1 million with these new rates that we were able to negotiate, myself and Andrea Salati, our purchasing agent, working
So we
with this
have-
company.
This is already ongoing?
Yeah, this is the money we saved. And this report was prepared for me in October, so that's why 2024 is estimated, and we still don't have a total, we're still in December, but there was another additional 1.2 million in savings. So I just thought that was so exciting that we were able to negotiate such awesome rates that we wanted to, I told Jackie about it, and Sam in another meeting, and so they wanted us to present, or me to present. And so the first analysis is the natural gas, the one in green. And that's just the money we saved based on our usage in DTH. So that's the savings that, based on what our price would have been, that's how much we were able to save in the savings versus 2023 and over the 2022 pricing. And then the gas savings in blue are because the company presented us with two options. We could have went with a fixed rate or this. They have their own developed software. They call it Energy Guardian, and they predicted greater additional savings with that. So we ended up going with that. And this is the additional savings we did by trusting their judgment and going with this program that New World Energy is the name of the company we work with. So they're able to save us an additional $179,000 on the gas. And then the yellow or orangey colors is all the electricity. And what was crazy is because the city of Erie is so big and we have over 100 public buildings, plus, which includes like lift stations and all kinds of buildings down at the wastewater treatment plant,
traffic light.
These, there's all these different electric bills. And nobody in this, not one office in the city of Erie is really aware of what all the other offices are paying. And so there was all kinds of electric accounts, and some weren't even bundled into our negotiated rates, because if like a new street light is added or something's added, then it wasn't bundled in unless you rebundle it. And there was just a lot of accounts that hadn't even been included because, like I said, nobody at the city really had a good handle on energy procurement and how to do it. And so, which is one of the reasons I argued for going with a company who that's what they do for a living, because obviously they're better at it than, you know, me just trying to figure out, and the purchasing agent trying to figure out what to do. And so one of the best things they did was, this is every single electric meter that we have and every single bill we pay totaled all together.
Wow.
And so just, you know, so the savings for the electricity alone were $600,000 in 2023 and $700,000 in 2024 versus the rates we were paying. And so I just thought it was so awesome that we were able to save over $1 million for both of years, that we wanted to share what we were able to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what are we gonna use the money for?
That's my question.
Well, it's savings money, so money that wasn't spent.
Right.
So I'm sure it was just incorporated into whatever other expenses were needed. But the cool thing is that when we did this, it was difficult for us to convince all of our supervisors to go ahead and go with this, because at the time, that was also when all the salesmen were going door to door and trying to get people to change companies. And so there was a lot of
still
fear
doing
that,
it.
yeah, everybody's just ripping you off. And then it was also the time when all the energy prices were gonna jump super high. So they thought for sure they wouldn't be able to save us any money at all the first year, because the prices were scheduled to go up so high that year. But because we had such a poorly negotiated rate in the past, we were able to still save $1 million. So like, I was like so proud of the fact that we were able to do this.
Yeah.
And then we finally asked them for a report, because we hadn't really gotten a full report, and so we asked them for one, and they finally gave it to us. So we wanted to share what the work that we had done.
So are they buying electricity from Penelec or somebody else?
Penelec is your provider, but the supplier is somebody else. I can't remember the name of the company. It's not Penelec who's our supplier, because we had a spreadsheet. They got quotes from like 6 different utilities,
So
including Penelec.
are they totally bypassing Penelec?
Penelec is still the person who brings the electricity to your buildings,
Okay.
but they supply the
They got the
electricity
wires.
and it transfers around on Penelec's lines. But so on your personal electric bill, that's why there's 2 rates. There's your usage amount, and then there's your transportation amount.
Sarah, do we pay these consultants every year? Like, are
We
they-
don't pay them anything.
We don't pay them anything.
Somehow
So
they get paid on the
commission.
back end from the
from the-
utility companies.
Or from the providers.
Who they're, the providers and who they're negotiating the rates for.
And did you ask by any chance why there's such variation in traffic lights? Like, one traffic light was $6,000 and then one's $40, and then most of them are like around 40, 30.
Because some traffic lights aren't as sophisticated. Some intersections might have 8 lights at one location where one might only have 4.
We have some that
Like-
just have one light in the middle of the street.
Right.
Yeah, and
Like
so-
Brown Avenue, I think, was the one that was the highest.
Brown and what?
And some of the lights have been upgraded and are new, more energy efficient lights, and some of the traffic lights are still older lights. And so it just depends on the type of the light and where it's located and how old it is.
Actually, there's only the one light on Brown and 26, and they're in the process of, that's getting switched over to an APS.
Because just in street lights alone, we pay like,
Oh, it wasn't Brown, sorry. That was the municipal
no, it's
co-op
crazy.
at 1926 Holland.
Because I don't know if the street lights are even included in here. I think this might just be the buildings. But I know our street light bills to
So this
Penelec,
is like-
it's almost $100,000 a month.
So it's
Like,
all,
street lights are extremely expensive.
so it's all really totally happening. I mean, it's not, there's,
The 2023 numbers are the actual numbers
Right.
we saved.
Right.
And 2024 are accurate to October, and then the rest of the year is estimated.
are there other jurisdictions using the same company?
I don't know if anybody else is. I know the EMTA, we're considering going
Okay.
with them. And then I think the school district, I think they're trying to work with the school district. But these guys just are extremely knowledgeable, and they have a lot of resources, and they really were able to work really hard and get us a good rate. And it's all based on the market. So like at one point, they're like, Sarah, Andrea, you have to try to get a signature by the end of the day today. These prices are going to go up any second. And so like we really worked hard to get this contract signed and to get a good rate. And I just think, I don't know, I don't usually brag, I'm not bragging, but I'm just proud of the fact that we were able to do
Yeah,
it
Sarah, that's great.
with Andrea.
I want to point out what strikes me on the electricity analysis is the wastewater treatment plant appears to be the huge
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
port access, is that the port access?
electricity user, and to me, that I'd circle that and say low-hanging fruit
Yeah.
if things could be done for
Well, there's-
renewables there
Yeah.
to be able to generate some of their own
Yeah,
electricity.
and that's true. Because they are, as much energy as they use, they are extremely energy efficient. They've upgraded all the lights in the building and all the lights on the property, but it's just the amount of electricity that's needed to move all that water and treat it
Yeah,
and
it
process
seems
it.
to me there could
Right.
be engineering approaches to generating power, especially when you've got
Yeah, it's something we
organic
could,
waste that could be
Methane.
used to generate methane, yeah.
or even maybe ground-mounted solar panels
Right,
above
yeah.
some of the stuff. I mean,
So
there's
I-
definitely worth looking
You
at.
wanna come
Whoever's
to the meeting?
liaison there, yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's
Because
important.
even for the Green Building Alliance, or the 2030 district that we're a member of, to try to reduce our energy use by 50% by the year 2030, the wastewater treatment plant is our highest user of electricity, and was no other wastewater treatment plant in our region that was in a 2030 district.
even
So the Green Building
hydroelectric,
Alliance-
you know, because there's a continuous massive flow of fluids in there. I would imagine you could get a micro hydro turbine system there to
Something.
generate electricity from the moving water.
Right. But
We're
our
looking for somebody
wastewater
to sit on the
treatment
board.
plant is really awesome as to how efficient it
The
is.
city council is looking to appoint somebody to sit on the
Oh,
board.
good.
You can talk to Chuck Nelson. No, I'm suggesting you.
Oh, to Chuck who?
Chuck Nelson
Can he be on
is
multiple
looking
boards?
to sit on.
Can be a-
He asked me to do it, and I said no.
All right.
So
Well,
I'm
I'd
assuming yes.
enthusiastically willing to do it if I could provide that input. Yeah.
The other big one was the sodium vapor lights.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that one.
They're the old
Those are
style.
street lights, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're the older ones that haven't been replaced yet.
Is there a,
They're owned by Penelec, so
there a
we
process of
can't
replacing
replace them
Oh.
without Penelec's permit. The city's replaced every single street light that we own, but we own only like, I don't know, 10% of the lights. The majority of the street lights are owned by Penelec, and so we're not able to replace them. Now, they've offered us to buy the lights from them, but the price is so exorbitant that it wasn't enough.
If we have to buy the
Affordable
power
price.
from them, sort of, then what's their motivation for selling
Well,
it?
exactly, if they own them, they get more money, so
yeah.
why would they want to sell them to us at a good
Right.
rate? They're losing money. If we change the lights, they
Yeah.
lose money. It's better for the environment, but in the pocketbook, they lose money. But I mean, other utility, but they're coming around. They agreed to replace the lights in the, what was that downtown area called, the mayor, when we focused the district downtown? And they agreed to convert all the lights. And we also got Wi-Fi in the downtown. What was that program?
The Innovation District?
Maybe. They did agree to convert some of the lights in a specific area downtown. That was their first pilot
On
project.
10th Street where,
Yeah, I think
where,
in the Innovation District,
where
yeah.
VNet is?
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that project, Penelec has agreed to convert lights. So hopefully if that goes well and we see successes from that, then we'll be able to expand to other areas within the city.
What's the Parks Department? How come they're a little on the high side? Is there a reason?
It'd be lights in, I don't know. I think Frontier Park has the lights.
We have lights at Baldwin Park, but they don't always turn them on.
But the lights in the parks are from dawn to dusk, and then I don't know, like Perry Square has the fountain that would use electricity, and so does Griswold. And then the zoo has electricity, I think they have the restrooms. So I would assume just what facilities are there is depending on the electric usage, because some of the parks aren't anything but a lawn, or woods even, you know,
Right.
but some of them have a lot going on. But I know Leaf and Frontier, they pay for all the utilities for their building
Okay.
themselves. We only pay for like the street lights in the parking lot and on the tennis courts. And I don't even know if there's water fountains there.
No, I think there's any water
Yeah.
fountains in Frontier.
There's bicycle repair station and a lit library.
The tennis courts probably, in the
It's the
summertime,
tennis
probably
courts.
take up a
And
lot.
even though the parks are dawn to dusk, that is one park, they leave the lights on the tennis courts later because people play tennis into the evening. But I mean, it does say light till 9 o'clock anyway, but
Yeah.
they do sometimes leave the lights on longer in that park.
Okay. So this sounds really good.
Yeah, I was excited when we got the numbers. I couldn't believe we saved that much money. Yeah. Thanks.
What fraction of it went to your saving, to your salary? Just saying.
We're public servants. We work for
Did they bring you donuts?
anything to help our community.
Okay.
While we're here.
Thanks, Sarah.
So, associate non-voting members, and we don't have to do it all, right? I mean, how many did we say we were gonna have in the bylaws?
I think it was 7.
Yes.
7?
But there were, there's categories of
Yeah.
those. Let me just find that.
So we can still do more recruiting.
I think there was 2 experts, if I remember right.
2 students,
And-
two university students and two that's
Mm-hmm.
not 7 though, that's 6.
That's 4.
No, 2, and 2.
Oh, what was it?
2 high school students, 2 university students, and 2 experts.
Okay, so we have
Was
both,
it 3 students?
No, I think it's 3 experts.
3 experts, okay.
and what was the other?
2 university students, 2 high school students, and 3 experts.
Okay, no regular people.
Are we sure, are we sure about that? Are you sure about that? 'Cause I
Okay,
don't have it.
so,
Are you 100%?
80% confident.
80%?
That's a fairly confident.
so what I believe we have is 2 experts and 2 college students?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. I personally like Pat's recommendations. I thought the young man's.
Actually, that is a young woman. Bryce is a young woman.
Oh, that very busy person sounded kind of like they were just kind of accumulating
Yeah, I
activities.
agree too. And I had the student in class when I was still there, and she's from Wyoming and on the volleyball team, and, you know, I don't think she'll be able to attend meetings in the summer or the fall because of volleyball.
Yeah,
so.
it just sounded like
Too busy.
not all that, yeah.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
The other person sounded,
Right, the one from Gannon looked really solid.
So the one from Gannon
is
is
that one of your people?
Jennifer, was it?
Jenna? Jenna.
Jenna, yeah.
Jenna?
Jenna, I'm trying to get the last name here.
Jenna Walmsley.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I don't think we have to take any kind of formal vote, although maybe we should for the record.
So
Probably
if somebody
best.
wanted to make a motion to
Yes.
Anybody
approve.
want to make a motion to?
I
All
make
right,
a
do it.
motion to approve Jenna Walmsley.
We nominate her and then whatever. Okay. Did somebody second
I
it?
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have a college student.
And then there were 2 experts, Molly and Cassandra. Molly,
She just
Pardon?
sounded, the other one sounded almost more like a chemist. Kinda-
Molly Tarvin, who is the sustainability coordinator at Mercyhurst University. And then the other person was Cassandra Schreck. And that person is currently manager of material and compliance, lab manager at Erie Plating Company, safety sciences, PhD. dissertation, environmental social governance and impacts on environmental health and safety performance, mini MBA, Master of Science in environmental health and engineering, teaching assistant.
I have a question about Cassandra, and maybe I'm not reading this correctly, but it sounds to me, is she currently an assistant professor at Slippery Rock? Is that what she's currently doing? That's kind of the way I read this, and then in which case I'm wondering what her availability would be to attend meetings if she's teaching at Slippery Rock.
Good question.
Well, she has a Girard address, and she may, Slippery Rock, maybe she's only there partially.
Well, that's why I was wondering if
Yeah,
you knew,
I
if
didn't
you
know,
had
but I
any
can
idea.
ask. I didn't.
I would like to get that clarified before
Sure.
we voted on her, because if she's teaching,
Let me see if
I
she's.
mean, depending on what days of the week, Wednesday she may not be a problem, but if she's in Slippery Rock on Wednesday, I'm not sure how she's going to get up to Erie to attend 3 o'clock meetings on.
She took a role, go ahead.
She's currently an
Assistant professor.
environmental health and safety consultant. That seems to be her full-time job. And then also doing, so she has 2 current job positions, right?
She's an
Environmental
assistant.
health and safety consultant and then assistant professor. She's doing both of those. Though I'm kind of surprised it's not listed as an adjunct professor, but.
I'd like to get that
I
clarified.
think that's fair too. I mean, we've kind
Yeah.
of decided against one of the student applicants for
For that reason. I mean,
perceived
if
unavailability.
she's not in Slippery Rock at all on Wednesdays, that's fine, but I'd like to get that clarified.
Okay. I can send an email out to her, and then, in the event that she is available, we'll be able to accept her application.
Yeah, I think, go ahead.
Oh, I think, I want to work a little hard about getting somebody from the environmental community, kind of a residence, local person, that we don't load ourselves up. I mean, we'd still have one more, but I think I'm going to work hard at trying to find somebody.
Yeah, I was thinking, one of the openings for this is you don't have to live in the city, but Girard is, I don't even think we have the same water system as Girard. I'm obsessed with regional kind of awareness and connection to the urban environment, and so that was my only concern as well. I mean, it's a fine line. I don't want to reject her just based on where she's from, but at the same time, if there are others who are closer and can make it to the meetings, with your concern as well. So, that's all.
I'd like to table hers at least until next month, and we can get some more information on her. That would be my recommendation.
And what about Molly Tarvin?
She sounds
I make a recommendation that we approve Molly Tarvin.
Second,
Second?
call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, that was easy. All right, so we have, how do we proceed with it? Do you-
I told them that I would get back to them once the board had a chance to review and discuss, and then, so I can include you in the acceptance of their position on the EAC board, and then I'll ask Cassandra Schreck about her availability for the meetings, and then get back with you, and we can then formally vote if that's what you choose at the next meeting.
Or wait till we get more also.
Yeah, and we may want to repost. I can repost that on our social media pages and on our website. And then, in terms of the high school students, were there any thoughts around how we were going to attract some of those?
So we don't have to fill all the positions.
No,
We
no,
can
but
fill
it-
them.
I think it's a shell.
Pardon?
Well, we
The
shall have
bylaws,
them,
yeah, it says it's
but it
shall.
doesn't, but we not necessarily shall have X number.
Shall
We
means
want,
must.
we definitely want high school students.
Yeah.
And I can, by next meeting, I can talk to, well, Sister Pat knows
Yeah.
students, but also my work with Groundwork Erie. Like, there's 15 kids that I know I could tap right now to say, would you be interested? Because we had a curriculum, and they were cleaning up litter in the watershed and doing urban agriculture, so I'll make sure to talk to the new executive director about that, and then, actually engage the students in that question. Some are gonna graduate, but some are still like sophomores or rising juniors or whatever, so.
So we have any diversity?
Yeah,
Good. We could use a little diversity.
sure.
I wonder if one of the college students from Penn State that's currently working on our LCAP might be invited. The one is from Erie,
James.
James.
Can't remember if it's James or
We're
Tyler.
not paying them, right?
No.
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
might be at least worth mentioning to them we
Yeah.
have this and see,
To see if he's interested.
Yeah.
That's a good, for the university.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our next meeting will be Wednesday, the
22nd, yeah, it's the 22nd. Okay, so, I'll repost, I'll ask James, Aaron, you'll circle back with some of the high school students.
And I'm-
Do you wanna reach out to Sister Pat also, just to
Yeah.
mention that we need to focus on attracting some more of that subgroup.
Yeah, and she and
Okay.
I will have that conversation.
Okay. And Aaron Carey, I think you said too. Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, there's more stuff on the other side.
Well, first is the P4P grant.
Yeah, just, so the P4P grant, mini grant, and I'm sorry that I sent you this kind of late this time. I sent it on Monday, which I would like to try to give you at least a week. This draft, this is the final draft that I sent out. So the advisory committee made edits to the draft, and then I made edits, and some other staff made edits to this draft, and then they revised and sent out this. So this is the final. Were there any other comments, I guess? No.
On this?
Yes.
I
Or comments or questions?
have comments, but I'll wait till you're done with your.
No, that's
okay.
really it. I actually had Porter Stevens, the consultant, working on this. I don't know, is he on? Do you see somebody else on there? I told him if you had questions or comments that I would relay those to him, that he didn't have to necessarily come and present again about the.
Right. I just think for us here, I mean, there's two things on page, the 12 is related to 13. So what's next on page 13? They're writing another application for a 2-year project to hire a professional consultant to lead the city through the plan development process. Okay, so that's the future plan. But then on 12, they're saying lessons learned. The residents don't trust consultants. Working with locally trusted neighborhood groups and champions is critical. The project team was able to successfully engage with hard-to-reach residents. Okay, so to address these challenges, we need to make sure that the dedicated community engagement team is really clear about who this consultant is and how that consultant is brought in, where are they from, you see? So, I'm just saying, bureaucracy gets caught up within itself, and it says these things on paper, but then what happens is the next time, there's very little.
We wrote this section, actually.
Okay, yeah.
We wrote this section, the Department of Planning and Neighborhood Resources wrote this
Okay,
section
right.
because if you remember, this was, the consultant was leading this charge and this process, but the listening sessions were the partners that were involved. So
Yes.
actually, the ones that were doing the surveying and doing the engagement were the partners themselves here in Erie, in the city of
Right.
Erie. And they were given a toolbox. But
Right.
that being said, even that process was challenging in itself. We actually, from this process here and from what we wrote up and what we learned in this project, we pivoted with the Safe Streets and Roads for All project because we had challenges here. Not that some of it was successful, but we recognize, and you're right, we recognize even with the consultants, making the connections with even the partners, which the advisory group took on some of that lead, still the fact that it was difficult that they were not local and here,
Yeah.
you know,
But I was very, I mean,
and where
I was
are you
glad to
looking?
see on page 11, you know, that describing what you just described. I'm just aware that in my brief experience as a nonprofit person, that, you know, you discover something and then you just do what has always been done based on the protocol. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just raising not even a red flag, maybe a mauve flag, mauve, which
But
says,
this-
hey, it's
and
pretty.
And I think more than anything, honestly, this process raised that flag for us, our internal department,
Yeah.
especially for neighborhood resources, is that the way that this process was led, while we gained good information, we had challenges with the engagement, and we had challenges with the partners.
And we didn't get that much diversity.
Well, we only had five partners, and we were hoping for more.
Could we suggest to P4P that when they hire, if they do this grant, and we're doing this grant, right?
We
That,
haven't gotten it yet.
Well, it just opened, the grant opened, yes.
Well,
and if we want to, if I want to say, how can we help in this process, but that the consultant be maybe from the community we're trying to engage.
I mean, there are people in the community who have that ability to do that kind of work.
Right, I agree with you, Erin, it was difficult dealing with an out-of-town consultant. And we had to rely on the partners and the committee members to do a lot of the work. And it was still very, I mean, it's a challenging thing.
It really
But you're
is.
right, if somebody's not from here, they don't know who the connections are, they don't have relationships with the community, it makes it even that much harder.
Right, and we do have the relationships around this table. And I'm not asking for more work, but, you know, it's just,
I was frustrated that there wasn't enough, I mean, they keep using the word frontline in there, and it's like, but do we really have any frontline people that were, you know, in the groups that of the 5 groups? And I think I was not aware of what was going on with the project until it was already kind of cast in stone who we were interacting with. And I think possibly we could have had a little more breadth, and it would be nice to see more breadth in the future.
well, and I take responsibility for some of that, because they reached out to Groundwork Erie, and then I was with the kids 5 days a week, and I couldn't.
It was a
coordinate
shortened
that.
time frame. We reached out to a lot of community partners, but it was a very shortened time frame, and not everybody got back to us. And part of that is because some people work really well via email, and some people you have to go and sit down and talk with them, and some people you have to make phone calls, and there wasn't the time that allow for that. So, I mean, I think all of the points that you're making are valid, and all can be a part of a consideration. You have to write the grant, you have to get the money, and then you would then be reaching out to find the consultant, doing an RFP to get the consultant, and you can write that that request to get a consultant in such a way that you prefer local agencies, and so there's ways of crafting that. And the bigger grant opportunity that Partners for Places offers allows for a bigger time window, which would avoid the time crunch that we had on this initial proposal. And, you know, that was something that we discussed multiple times with you. And so I think just a recognition of that is important, that we have hit on this multiple times. The fact that it wasn't very diverse, and we've talked about that, and we've explained why, and, you know, we're all doing the best that we can, and there is that awareness that it was lacking that diversity, and that's something that we need to attend to better in the future. We've mentioned that in many of these meetings, and the fact that again, a big part of that is the time crunch that didn't really allow, there was only basically a 1 month window in which these sessions could be held, and it was in the middle of the summer when a lot of people are on vacation. So, you know, again, I'm just saying, all of the points that y'all are raising are valid, and things to be considered. It's not something we have to report back to Partners for Places on or something like that. It's more, as Jackie, I think, was saying, something that internally we should be more aware of when we're going to implement, when we're applying for grant funding and we're going to implement grant funding, is that kind of awareness that we gain from this process.
I was reading, and maybe I was reading the wrong thing, but something that I was reading, it made it sound like they only had 8.
No, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5.
No, not how many groups we went out with, but how many potential of the next round of grant there was, that there was only 8 that they were going to award. Is that true, that we're hanging this whole funding for the LCAP on something that there's only going to be 8 of them?
I didn't read that yet. I haven't read through it yet.
Okay, it wasn't in there.
I know, it was the link that I sent you for Partners for Places.
So that was one concern
The
I
way
had.
this funding program's designed, though, is you get your first round of funding, and then that is what helps you become eligible for the second round.
Right.
So if they're not willing to fund you for the second round, you don't even get your first round funding. So the fact that we made it to the first round gives us a good chance that we would be able to get one of the next rounds of funding.
Right, but there may only be 8, is what I thought I read. It's just what I'm saying.
Regardless, we
Yeah.
have a good chance of getting it because we've already done the first round.
Because we've done the mini grant. This
I
one?
think they also provide a list of other,
Yeah.
it's not like we have to go, that the only way we can use this information is if we go back to Partner for
Right.
Places.
They
They
pro-
also
right.
provide a list
Right here.
of other grant opportunities that we could look to for funding for a new phase. So, I mean,
Communities Change Grant.
that one's gone,
Yeah.
but, you know, so it's not like, oh, well, if we don't get the next P4P grant, we're SOL, and this was all worthless,
I didn't get
right?
to it.
It's we use the data for multiple, you know, and apply for anything that we can. The data is still helpful.
I also like this list, which is
Yeah.
very helpful, and, you know, keep it in my files for, you know, what we're doing here, right? And, you know, what we're working on, waste reduction, and, you know, climate resiliency with the LCAP and stuff. So I really like that, you know. So I'm not, I was just trying to say, you know, we got to look for.
I think those points are well, I mean, I appreciate you saying that, and we acknowledge that. We're having, even with some of our other projects, it's been very challenging with engagement. It is, people are burnt out, there's a lot of surveys, people are even, you know, there's so many surveys online.
Right.
That are constantly coming up, you know, so not even just here in the city, there's always surveys being thrown at you.
Right.
So we're finding that we need to change our tactics a little bit. And I know that there was a meeting, Gretchen told me this yesterday, at Martin Luther King Center that was very well attended it was through the Department of Health.
Okay.
And it was very diverse, very well attended. And I asked her about incentives, and she said that everyone who attended received a gas card. And so, I mean, we don't have the capability to do that all the time, but we can build those into our grants. And, I mean, if that's what it's going to take to get people to come out and attract people, then we need to start thinking in that direction. We need to think outside the box a
We use
little.
the natural resource, or the
Yeah.
resources
Yeah, $1 million.
savings.
That's right, that's right. But, no, I think those are good points, and, yeah, we took a lot of the engagement piece of this and the challenges we have internalized, and we've tried to, we've talked through that of how we can change the way that we are engaging with our, and especially with other projects that we have, that we are working with outside consultants. I mean, we have 3 projects right now that we are working with consultants from outside this region because there is no expertise here.
Parks
And,
safety.
and we have to take a front seat to that. We, as the city, we know we have to lead that in terms of the engagement piece. We have to, otherwise it will not be successful.
What can we do to grow some more local expertise?
We get them involved in the Environmental Advisory Council.
Well,
You grow programs at the universities first. That would be helpful.
Like Project Neptune?
Yeah. Or how about like planning department, planning degree.
A big part of it is that we have a brain drain. We have programs and we educate people, but there's not opportunities for them to be employed, and so they leave.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
They're not paid
And
enough.
so, or the jobs that we have don't pay enough, and so they leave.
So
Either way, we have a brain drain that's well established, and so,
okay, so where are
Thank
we
you.
at with this, just to keep moving?
Oh, so where we are is we're going to finalize this report. It's finalized. And then the next step is, we may not go, Michael Baker is just our open-ended contract.
Yeah.
This has been on, I think this has been on the books for a couple of years, so they wanted, we needed to either figure out what we were gonna do with it, and this was the first phase, right?
Uh-huh.
So, the next step is to look at this P4P grant, decide if the city would, and a partner would like to go after that. We need to decide that as well, because Cafe, which is the avenue we applied for last time, it might not be the best fit. I know that we've talked about some other partners, and so that's where we're at. We're going to have a discussion about that next week, because I think in January it closes, the grant.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a quick turnaround in terms of applying for it. Not that, we have time, but,
And what office is applying for it? And
well, it would, you mean department in
Yeah.
the city?
Yeah.
It actually can't be a municipal. It has to, it went through a 501c3, which is Cafe, the
Yes.
City of Erie's 501c3. So it cannot be, we cannot be the applicant. So we have to have a partner in place, or we use Cafe again
for this one you're talking about?
the second phase,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, I don't know if we have any advice for this. Are you?
Well, we talked a little bit about it in our advisory, with the advisory committee that was for this project.
Yes.
And there were some ideas that had come up about potential partners. Sam had mentioned Gannon as a potential partner because of what they're doing in terms of environmental and sustainability. So we haven't discussed that further since that meeting, which was about a month ago.
yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have other ideas, Aaron?
Well, I
What do you
don't know. I
think?
mean,
I don't know if groundwork would be a potential.
well, if they get all the grants they're applying for, they're going to be pretty busy. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what the public engagement strategy, that's what you're looking into, right? That's the major thing, right?
No, I mean, it's twofold. So we talked about this money would help us to develop the LCAP.
Yes.
And then we would have a potential for implementation money. So we would have priority projects, I think, that we would start out with. And that's what the money, that's kind of what we discussed at the last meeting. So this, part of that piece of the LCAP, of the creation of the LCAP, would be an engagement, a more robust engagement process, yes. The city would most likely be at least the lead, even though, like if groundwork would be the applicant. The city could take more of a lead in that role for managing the grant.
Is Plua or Crane, is Sarah still here?
Yeah.
Are any of them, Plua or Crane, any of those groups, it's 501c3 yet?
Plua's doesn't
Lula
have it
doesn't have
up
its
there.
own 501c3, and neither does Crane.
I can't see.
PAC Grant does, but they're,
Who?
Sea Grant, but they're affiliated with Penn State Barron. So there's not a lot of environmental groups that have their own 501c3s. So that's why Groundwork Erie might be a good fit, and there's some others out there. but-
Audubon might,
Audubon?
they might be a 501c3.
And these align with our priorities that we developed, pretty much?
We looked at that when we were talking about our priorities.
Yeah.
You may not remember that.
I
You were
probably
busy-
don't.
You were busy with, it may have been a meeting that you missed too, because I know you missed one. But we had a meeting in which we were talking about the Partners for
Aligning those,
Places,
yeah.
and we were also talking about priorities, and so we were looking at that, and we talked about the fact, do y'all remember this? Is this sounding familiar to other people too? So we
Yeah.
did look at that when we were talking about our priorities.
That's right, I recognize
Yeah.
that, some of that, yeah, so.
So, Sam showed me that, I think it may be that it's February, what is it, 28th, that it closes. So we do have, we'll have at least 2 more meetings
Yeah.
between then and now. But I will most likely be communicating some of this to you through email once we may have, once we talk next week.
So
So-
are we automatically keeping the same advisory committee from the one grant to the next?
No.
I'd like to see how that gets put together in the next round. I'm interested.
Okay. So,
do you want us to, like, in the next, I guess, before the next meeting, obviously, because it closes in February,
yeah.
like, generate, like, ideas about how to
Well, I'm gonna,
develop partners, or you and Sam got the Gannon?
no,
thing,
no,
or-
no, we're, next
I don't
week,
think we should automatically go with Gannon. I think there's a lot of interesting chemistry right now around Gannon, and I just would like to see us explore more than one option.
we haven't made a decision about that yet. What we're gonna do is talk about the grant.
Yeah,
What are the eligibility requirements?
Yeah.
Talk through how, who's going to do this, because right now, the consultant had handled this whole grant. We have a grant writer internally, we can apply for the grant ourselves. We
Yeah.
don't need Michael Baker to apply for the grant, that's how I feel about it.
okay,
But again, we can't apply for it, it has to be with our partners. So
Right.
we're gonna talk through some of that. And I think right now, at this point, if you have ideas, after you read through the grant, if you have other ideas of who partners should be, or we can reach out to, or maybe you could let me know, that would be great in the next week.
yeah,
Yeah.
I disagree with you on, I think Gannon's, just as others are. I mean, I don't know what chemistry you're talking about.
I'm talking
maybe-
about Project Neptune, and there's a
Okay.
lot of hostility right now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think it's really an opportunity as well. I
They don't
think
even have a pilot with the city.
the other universities are
Yes,
just,
they
as-
do.
each university has a
Yes, they
unique
do.
thing to offer, right? It's not just, Gannon, but each one has a unique thing, so I think we could talk more about that, and, we know Molly, and we know you at Mercyhurst, and so,
I'm not there anymore.
but, residual
Right.
spirit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think,
Is
we
the
need to
con-
look at collaboration.
Is the
And the more
Conservation
partners-
District also a possibility?
Who, what?
The Conservation District.
Conservation District?
Erie County Conservation District?
Well, there is Erie County.
They're more focused on the rural areas than with the city. They're not located within the city limits.
Can it be, it has to be a 501c3?
I have to look, I haven't looked through it all.
And you can have more than one partner? I mean,
I don't want to give you the wrong information,
Yeah,
so
okay.
why don't we, I'll send out the link again to the grant.
I'm sorry,
No,
yeah, I
that's
didn't look
okay.
at it.
I haven't looked at it enough, and I know.
A local
you're
government
looking at it.
sustainability or water department, so that would be the city of Erie, a frontline community partner, and a place-based funder. One-year grants are 45,000 to 100,000. Use a strong existing partnership to plan or implement an ECA and/or GSI project that addresses frontline community priorities, or a 2-year grant that can be between 75,000 and 150,000.
So,
You have to have a frontline community partner and a municipality or,
You have to have at least 3 partners.
Partners.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll go through the grant, like Sam is, I'll highlight a few things, and then I'll ask for some feedback and I'll prompt the group through email
Okay.
for this, if that's okay.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's good, yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry I wasn't up to speed on it.
I'm not either, I haven't read through it all.
I just think my comment is we need to look at collaboration as the norm rather than the exception. And, you know, beyond the question of, you know,
You can submit.
I think it's just so important that the more you collaborate, the more impact
That's
you
different
have
than this one.
across the board with municipalities, governments, universities, nonprofits, I mean, all on the same wavelength, as it were. I mean, because
I wonder if we could get MCIC involved. We
Could.
want to bring some diversity in.
MCIC, yeah,
What's NCIC?
minority coalition, minority
It's kind of the consortium,
coalition investment community of Erie.
something like that. It's the, you know, it's the UECDC and Booker T and the MLK and.
It's an umbrella for those 3 organizations.
and
I like
and
that
they're-
idea
and they're-
because
and they're-
environmental justice issues should be something that this committee is pushing to
That
make
would
sure gets
bring, that
addressed.
would bring more diversity
Yeah.
in, and they're the ones who are doing Sabacchio Park.
Right, right. With
Yeah, I
the-
like that idea.
Okay, yeah.
At least if, you know, and if we can have more than one partner in this, one of which would be the applicant, and all of those partners together cover
Yeah.
a lot of bases. I like that idea.
And
The
then,
more
you know,
partners, the better.
that would bring us the
It gives you
diversity we're
engagement
looking
then,
for.
right.
No,
Yeah,
I love MCIC. They're our partner on the community change grant. Is that what you're all talking about?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that's what I heard.
and so if these community change grants come, you know, then inevitably we'll be doing this work, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad we had this discussion.
When?
When,
Thank you.
not if, when. Yeah.
I already have the champagne. so
Okay.
EPA just need to kind of get on the ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
get it before January 20th.
The money is already earmarked, allocated, so I'm not worried that the change in the guard will affect the funding for the program.
Yeah.
So who has been your contact with MCIC?
I've spoken to all 3 of the gentlemen that are the executive directors of the underlying, but James Sherrod is our main point of contact.
He's Booker T?
No.
He's
He's
MLK.
MLK. I get him, right.
He's just better via email.
Right, yeah.
Than the other two gentlemen
Oh, yeah.
who I greatly admire. So there's just, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, so I'm not slighting anybody.
Okay, so how are we doing? I'm trying to keep us moving. We have 15 minutes.
We talked about the grant, and I'll do some follow-up with that. And then inventory for our LCAP and state students. So they were supposed to be completed with the inventory by now, but they are having some difficulty with electricity and natural gas issues and data.
Gee, we got all this now.
Yeah, well, I was actually thinking about that, Sarah. I was wondering if your consultants could help us get the information for them. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about the LCAP PSU students, and that there's been a delay. They were trying to expedite this process since this is the second time that we're going through it. But as Sarah knows very well, that there are issues with the utility companies. So they're having issues with electricity and natural gas. Penelec gave too little data, omitting some Erie zip codes. They gave us data from omitted zip codes. We were left with downscaling issues. Some
Because they
zip
don't
codes.
want to give us the information, or when you say there are issues?
Well, I think there's.
You know, I asked them, and they said they would be willing to look into helping us, but they needed more information of
Why they were doing it, or?
yeah, of what we need exactly. But they do have a lot of contacts in the energy world, so they might be able to help. And they said they would if they could.
You asked the consultants?
Yes.
Of
New World Energy, correct, yeah.
That would be, I think.
So if you want to set up
This is the
a
same
meeting with
thing
them,
that
you and I,
happened
to meet with
last
them.
time, Right, Sarah? This is the same exact issue that we had last.
Right,
time.
we couldn't get the data.
So we can't have this again.
Right, well, that's
Just go through the
why
whole process
this
again.
round they said they had all new contacts and that they'd be able to get the data, but
Is there
they
anybody?
still haven't been able to get it.
And waste management and the utilities. Waste management is another.
It's waste management and natural gas
Yeah.
refuses to give data.
Wait, we're having trouble getting data from all three of them?
From
Waste-
natural gas,
And waste management.
And
And
the
waste
utilities,
management.
two of the utilities, electricity and.
Penelec won't give data
I
either.
think there's some issues with scaling down the data.
Yeah, they gave us some data, but it's,
It's by zip code,
Yeah.
and some of the zip codes that are at the edge of the city,
Right.
you
Expand.
can't just take that and say, okay, we'll count half of it, because some of those entities in the city could be major users. So there are, if you want to have it right, you can't rush it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
we said that as the team, we said, we want to get this right, we don't want you to.
and the challenge
feel-
is it's 2 students and they have 1 semester to do this. So, I mean, there's no way 2 students in 1 semester can have enough time to get all the data. It's not possible. You
Is it-
need more time and you need more of a constant badgering of how to get the information and getting to the right person and
Is
getting.
there anything Mel can do to help us grease the wheels a little with Penelec? He knows people.
The who?
Mel. Mel got rid of a power pole for me on Green Garden. He knows people there, and sometimes he can make things happen.
Mel Witherspoon?
Now I want to see if I can get him to.
The problem is it takes a lot of work for them to sort out the specific data we need, and we're not paying for it, and we're just asking them to do it. And they're busy, like everybody else, with everything they already have to do. And so it's just one extra thing they don't have time for, because we're asking them to do it for free.
Right, well,
And it's
so.
a lot of
well,
information.
They have time, because we've said, take the time you need. We're not asking you to be done with the inventory by January. If we don't move into the development of the report and sort of the beginnings of the LCAP, which was what they were supposed to move into, then we're not there yet.
And
But we shouldn't, this time around, we shouldn't give up on the inventory until we have the right information. And so that's how I feel about it. I don't even care about the report at this point. Just make sure we have the right information.
And if
How does that
utilities-
affect our ability to get the grant to do the plan?
It doesn't affect our
Okay.
ability at all. This is,
Yes,
yeah, it doesn't
correct.
affect our ability.
And
But
if we have to go higher up, we would have to, I mean, to go higher up on waste management, we would have to contact the DEP and ask them if they can ask them for the data. Or like, can we file a complaint with the Public Utility Commission saying the utilities aren't working with us and we need this data? Like, there's other routes we
well,
can
then
take to try
how
to get it
who
to.
do we? That's
Isn't the data out there somewhere?
It's
We
all
have the data.
confidential.
It's how do you take data that encompasses more than the city of Erie, and how do you correctly make sure that you're cutting out the part that is not the city of Erie and only including city of Erie stuff. So it's not that we don't have the data, it's how do you normalize or harmonize the data to fit. And so like the time that we're taking now will help in future years when we get the same kind of data for us, if as long as those records are kept on, this is how we did this, this is how, right? And so as long as those records are kept, and that makes it easier in the future. And so yeah, we need to spend the time now to do it right, because that helps us moving forward.
Yeah,
Is there any
thank you.
way it's
Yeah.
can be tied to census block, and is census block, nope?
I don't really know.
'Cause-
They have this ICLEI system that that the students talk to you about, and I asked him, I said, is there any way that I can help you? And he said, basically, if you have a magic wand. That was the professor's response, because, I mean,
We can't be the only ones having this problem.
I doubt it. I mean, but like Sarah said, if there's
what do
something
they-
we can do if there's someone that I should be contacting or you should be contacting that is more higher level, I'm happy to do that. I don't know who that is. The other issue that they're having is not issue, but they don't necessarily need it, but they haven't received any rail data. Because
For the railroads.
Right, trying to reach out to CSX is, a nightmare. So, and I've tried contacting them for another project that I worked on when I first moved back to Erie, and it was, I think even to get cars removed in the right-of-way of the tracks that the city sometimes has to do, sometimes will take, I think, a year or more to get in touch with someone at CSX.
So I wondered if the We Can Serve, the thing that we're part of, if there's another jurisdiction that, like I said, we can't be the only ones having this problem. So what are the other people having this problem doing about it?
Well, John, is that his name? I can't remember his name. Mike, John, the professor that's in
Peter
charge.
Buck?
Peter. I mean, he's involved. The two, Brandy and Peter, the two professors that are the leads, they're assisting with the students. They've been in communication with us and have, I mean,
Like
they're
Reading or-
they're the ones that have worked with the communities throughout Pennsylvania. So they're aware of it, they know what's going on. I'm not exactly sure how to assist them at this point, other than saying maybe we need to speak to someone like you mentioned, Sarah.
We have to go higher up.
We need to go higher up, and I think we should have a discussion about that. Maybe call upon the mayor or one of our state representatives. I don't know.
Yeah, we have to go higher.
So, Mike, am I explaining all of that right? Because
Yes.
it's quite technical for me
Yeah.
in terms of
And-
the
and
applications
I'm
they
with
use.
you. I think Peter Buck, who is the main faculty member who's overseeing this course with the students, has gone through this many times, and I would assume that they've dealt with similar problems in other communities.
Yeah.
So I think he just needs to reckon with the importance of him helping the students now get it nailed
Yes.
down.
And maybe that requires us to write an email to him. We have been in touch with him,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think he asked our group, he said, we need more time. And we said,
Right.
fine,
Okay.
no problem. We want to get it right. That's what we said. So,
Let's leave it at that.
okay.
Okay.
Let's see. So they are supposed to present on January 22nd, and Peter is going to be on Zoom also. So we'll have the ability to talk to them if they still don't have it and see what we can do then. So,
Why don't we invite Mel to come?
I'm not sure if that would help. I think this is not necessarily about making a call to
Right.
somebody. This is really about an expertise, within their systems, I don't know.
It's also making a call.
You're right. Okay, well, if you think so, then
Well,
I
we'll
don't
leave it
know.
like that,
I
and
don't,
then January 22nd, if they don't have anything, then.
Yeah. okay.
Hey, Jackie.
All right, so we just have one.
Real quick, I'm sorry, I'm going to add something real quick. So it sounds like the issue's more that the data needs cleaned up. Could you send me the raw data? I used to do statistical analysis, so just take a quick look at it.
It's not like an Excel spreadsheet. I
No,
don't
I
think.
figure it's kind of like,
It's
so you
in,
have like a blob of the zip codes, and which has like one number? Is that what it is?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think this is all inputted through this ICLEI system that they have. And we don't have that system. And this is not like I can send you a Excel spreadsheet with thousands and thousands of entries. It's not like that. They have their own system, and
Do you think it could talk to a GIS map or something? Is that where you were going?
yeah, I
Well,
don't think it's quite like sifting through zip codes like
Yeah,
that and then
it's-
applying it to the census data. I don't know if it's like that, but I will ask the questions.
Yeah.
I can ask those questions to Peter. I mean, he's very responsive. And I can say, is there something, if you send us, we can help with that, but I don't think it's quite
Yeah, I
that
mean-
easy.
The way I understand it, it's more like you draw a big circle on the map, and this is the data for that entire circle, and that's the only information we have.
Okay.
We have no idea.
So you could map the zip code, and then, I mean, this is a pain, but you could actually remove, you'd have to create some average for like residential, commercial, industrial. but go
16509 is
Parcel by
city of the area.
parcel, you could subtract out the ones that are outside the area.
But you'd
Yeah.
need the individual datas for each individual.
No, you'd have to
zip code.
you just create, use an average. You'd have to find out some sort of average for residential, commercial,
Yeah.
industrial. So let's say and I'm just throwing out numbers, so let's say you have 300 residential, the average is.
But it's like
X.
the businesses that would throw it off.
Well,
So
again, you
you'd
could
have
come
to
out
factor
with
them
some
in,
sort of
yeah.
commercial and an industrial average.
Yeah, it's possible to do, and I
Yeah.
think that's what the students are trying to do, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just taking them more time. Or our plan would just include a larger area of data, even though we're focusing in. I mean, it is our neighbors. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like it's data from out in New York or Ohio. It's still just our neighboring communities, and we're still affected by that. So I think it's better to have too much of the data included than not enough in
Well,
the
maybe
end. If we
Matt-
can't
Matt
break it
could-
out, we can't.
Maybe Matt could.
But it was my
communicate-
understanding that National Fuel has not given us any data.
Mm.
So we are missing that. The large chunk of data is from Penelec, but the railroad and National Fuel still
We
haven't
don't
given us anything.
In waste management.
And waste management.
And waste management,
Again, it
yeah.
was just a thought.
Yeah,
started
but I
playing
agree with you,
around.
it's possible, and I think that's what students are trying to work on.
Yeah.
Because
But maybe Matt could talk to the students.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think
Yeah.
that this could be brought up on January 22nd. It's the end of the semester, so the students are off for winter break. They won't be back until January 13th. We meet on January 22nd. They won't be doing any work between now and January 13th. So it really, we're spending time that, there's no kind of point.
Yeah, the point is
right
that
now.
we were
Yeah,
supposed
but
to
I-
have the inventory done this
Yeah.
semester and work on the plan next semester. We're just gonna have to do the inventory next semester too, until we get it completed, is basically the summary.
I appreciate, Matt. I think I know where you're going with GIS, actually. I feel like I'm understanding where you're talking about in terms of like the zip codes and that. I'm happy to ask if we can be of any assistance. And if we can, and they think we can do something, we'll put them in touch with you. How's that sound?
Oh, that's
But
fine.
you're
Like
right.
you said, I was
They're,
just throwing out ideas.
yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I see where you're going, but, okay. That's,
Right,
so that's.
We're almost done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're almost done. I think we're
the
right
meeting.
back in this, oh. Yes, the meeting schedule, I just found out that it is posted now, so I'll send you all the dates, and I'll send you calendar invites for the dates for 2025. I'll also find out when your term limits are up, so if somebody's up, then we can reappoint you if you wish, hopefully. And then come January, I was going to send out the bylaws to everyone. If you'd like to look at the bylaws and make any if you want to make changes, we can do that at the first meeting or the second meeting of the year. And then election of officers will take place the first meeting of the year. So that's what the last item,
Right.
letter F was.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.